Going into a ZVZ on Royal Blood. And of course, yeah, congrats to Fig for finishing first in the group. Not unexpected, but still nice to do, especially after kind of a closer series against Molten than I expect the seeds kind of predicted. Spawning in the pink, playing for Red Dragons in the bottom left is Bobicus. And playing in the green in the top right of Royal Blood, also playing for the Red Dragons, is the Wiseman. A fast pull from Bobicus. This was a 13 pull, which is, or a 12 pull, must have been. Sorry, 12 pull from Bobicus, which is a good choice. Wiseman, in fact, is opening standard, though he wasn't comfortable opening standard against Fig earlier. Okay, it's going to be 16 gas, 15 pool. So neither player is getting away without any sins. Bit cheesy from both. I think this is pretty good for Wiseman, honestly. I think Bobicus is going to run in with a bunch of lings from his 12 pool. And Wiseman hopefully will be a little bit ready for it. Plus, Wiseman will have faster speed because he's gone for quite quick gas. So I'd expect now Wiseman to grab a natural, yep. And he'll see the lings heading across with his first Overlord. It's going to be interesting to see the follow-up from Bobicus. Obviously, it's going to be a hatch, as you do with every 12 pool. But then he can go for gas, or he can macro out. And it does look like it's going to be the macro out option. So Wiseman knows what's coming now. He's obviously going to get a quick Bane Nest, as he is one to do. And puts him in a really defensive spot. He still doesn't know if it's 13-12 or if it's 12 pool, but he'll shortly be finding out. Okay, okay. Favouring Bobicus with the first little bit of micro. But I do think this push is kind of a bit short-lived. And if I was Bobicus, I'd be a little bit worried if it was something going to be a bit more aggressive coming through. It's going to have ling speed just a little bit quicker than I was hoping for. Wiseman pulling the drones to secure this hatch is a good choice. Okay, now we see the Banelings morphing, which is, I guess, fine. Yeah, Bobicus kind of sacking those lings. Interesting that he's morphing them defensively, kind of gives the game away a little bit. Shows off, you know, that you've made that Bane Nest already. Ling speed coming through now, which is honestly a little bit delayed. I'm not sure it's any faster than if you open standard. So I'm not sure that that's the best choice. Meanwhile, Bobicus is obviously going to have to defend, so he's making a few more lings and a spine of his own. But he should be pretty okay here just to defend with the queens. And now he's gotten away with a tiny, tiny drone lead, though, making more now. So it's going to be interesting to see how both players want to play this. Wiseman is droning, despite, you know, obviously having his Bane Nest done really early and his speed on the way. He's not really going to make a huge amount of use of it, except for with the lings that he kind of made semi-defensively. Obviously, this was the defensive baning that he morphed. Bobicus, on the other hand, obviously has his queens and his spine done, so he should be fairly safe against any kind of all-in follow-up. Does need to keep spending his money though, because he's got away with a pretty good drone lead. Okay, it's all going to come down to his baning micro. If this Overlord was just slightly further out, he'd see this morphing, but he doesn't, so this is going to be a bit unfortunate. Though he does have 4 queens on the ramp. I think he should be fairly okay. It's going to be interesting to see if he loses these workers. Ideally not, of course. And he's droning really hard behind this. Let's see if he can make a bit of a hold. Okay, one of the banelings goes on the lava, which is not what you want. Losing these workers would not be the best for Bobicus. Loses 5 total, 3 to those 2 banelings. And now he's not actually at a worker advantage, which is unfortunate, because he started with one. Wiseman getting into his fast Spire, which we know now is for muters. Again, I think his economy is maybe a little too weak to really afford the muters, but he's, you know, droning really heavily now. Jesus. And we'll see how Bobicus can play against the muters, or not, as it may be. is banking a lot of gas of his own, actually. So a Spire of his own would be really good if we could see that ASAP. Did make the Roach Warren, doesn't mean he has to use it. Though obviously it's kind of fine if he does. He is ruining his own wall by having these Lings on hold position. Though, as we saw, Wiseman's Lings have died, so not to worry. A lot of spines coming through, which is pretty standard for a fast Spire play. There it is. Though ideally you'd want to do it off of a higher drone count. Especially since we know that Bobicus obviously has no Ling speed, has the Roach Warren, so he can't really get aggro with the Roach Warren for a little while. But maybe he is often, playing slow roaches or something. Banking a lot, I'm not a fan of. Really needs to spend his money on anything. With a layer as late as it is, he's not really got a huge amount of play in this game in terms of being aggressive. Whether he's happy taking a third and just playing defensive against the Mutas, kind of like Figaro was, I don't know. Obviously the +1 timing is pretty good. A lot of creep tumors, Jesus. Let's see. Some roaches coming through. Slow roaches is an interesting choice. So it does look like he's going to go for a push. Not a fan of the timing of this push. Obviously he has a big army supply lead. It's scouted by Wiseman. But it's going to hit after the Spire is done. And there's already a Spine Forest to get on top of it. So not sure I like this this push. It's looking okay on paper, and obviously lets him get this third up quite quick because he's going to get a bit of map control, forcing these Mutas to stay home. But let's see. Try and push through. I think honestly you have to ignore the spines and just run past, but we'll see. Yeah, not a fan of these Ravager Morphs. I'm going to lose a bit of gas for that. Losing a few more roaches as they slowly rally in, of course. So let's see now how good his Muta defense is. We do have some spores on the way and some more queens coming. We're going to have +2 for our queens, which is obviously a bit of a boon. Let's see. Ling's harassing this spore is good. Let's see if this other one can get up. I think it will be able to, and then he can transfuse it to keep it alive. So we'll see how much damage Wiseman gets done. He's actually skipping the carapace that he went for in game 1. Though he's making 6 more mutas right now. Losing a few to these queens is a bit rough. Like we saw from Figaro, Wiseman is just going straight for the Hydroden. Hopefully he gets +2 quite soonish. And sort of go for a big Hydra push. Try and punish Wiseman for playing these fast mutas. So for a bit I really liked both players' positions. Currently I think I favour Bobicus, would be my guess. Let's see if he can make some magic happen. Mostly I like his position because Wiseman isn't playing Banelings, he's playing Roaches. Which is okay, but against the Hydras, Banelings are really, really good. And he's, Wiseman's invested a huge amount into these mutas that so far, there's 12 mutas that so far haven't got a huge amount done. We'll see. Wiseman droning up his third, but obviously his third was quite a lot slower than Bobicus's, because Wiseman could not cancel it with the links and mutas that he sent. So I'm not convinced that these mutas have really paid for themselves, except that they defended the early roach push, which I think could have been defended just with spines and links, to be honest. You now have a macro hatch out of Wiseman, leading off another muta. I think that's 3? Yeah, barely gets away. Clearing the creep is obviously good because it reduces your opponent's vision, but you don't really need to clear it in ZVZ. People don't normally spread it in ZVZ. Wiseman is starting to back a huge amount. Jesus. Okay, supply block clear, so now he is going to start making units again. But he's playing roaches with worse upgrades against someone that's already playing roaches. A lot of Roach Hydra for Bobicus, and I think he could do with being a bit more aggressive with it. Trying to capitalise on his +2. Guess he's waiting for Hydra range to finish. Roach speed done. So +2 Hydra range, a bunch of roaches you can head across the map. Meanwhile, Wiseman is going to get into the main and harass a little bit. Let's get shooed away by these queens and the spores, which is pretty good positioning from Bobicus. And here he goes now. But Wiseman mostly out of position, but this is quite a lot of roach Rav for Wiseman nonetheless. So if Bobicus can join all of his reinforcements up, there's definitely some play in it for him. Wiseman is going to get into 1-1, which is decent against the Roach Hydra. Would like to see carapace upgrades from Bobicus. Honestly, if you can try and get a 4th and get to Lurkers, is not a bad option either. We'll see. Wiseman is going to go for the attack. Filing his own mutas is not the play. I think it's kind of put a dampener on this push in general, honestly. I do think Bobicus needs to make a move. He's kind of letting Wiseman back in. He's droning up at a huge amount. I guess to this base that isn't done yet. Wiseman also going to be trying to grab a 4th. Way out of the way though. I think this 4th is the one that makes more sense. Let's see. Just more roaches. Oh, he forgot roach speed, which is not the play. Not what you want to see. It's getting an infestation pit. I guess for Vipers? But I think I prefer to get into Lurkers if I could. Meters have done a great job clearing creep, but that is about it. Losing 5 so far this game. Bobicus has really managed to sneak all the long way around the map, and Wiseman had no idea. So he's now going to get into the natural. See if he can hit a bit of a timing before Wiseman's +2 is done. Eating a huge amount of bios, but this is just more stuff for Bobicus. Pulling the mutas home, but I honestly think that the Hydras are pretty okay against the mutas here. Bobicus doing a much better job dodging the bios than Wiseman is, honestly. Losing lots of the mutas and a lot of the roaches, Bobicus started to really pull ahead in the supply lead. Clicking his own roach, but it didn't die, so it's fine. Just a bit of a warning shot. Doing a good job of not getting kind of sandwiched between these two armies. Losing a lot of the Hydras, which you really don't want to do because they're more expensive and their DPS is a lot higher. But with the roach reinforcements from Bobicus, and well, he's now at an upgrade deficit, pulling the workers from Wiseman, but the roaches just keep streaming in. Let's see, 10 workers, 15 workers. Does look like a bit of a hold, but when you're losing, yeah, 22 workers to hold it, it's not what you want. They're now equal in upgrades, which is better for Bobicus. I honestly think he's pretty okay taking that fight. He's now nearly up twice as many workers. So Wiseman really has to drone up again. In the meantime, Bobicus can be making roaches all he likes. I really wish he would make a Lurkidan. I think Lurkers are really good in ZVZ, in roach wars, especially when you have such a big eco advantage over your opponent. Get up to that hive and get a Lurkidan. So we are seeing a quick hive from Wiseman, we are seeing burrow and roach movement from Bobicus. Just not a bad choice, honestly. Except that Wiseman has no more workers to harass. Because he pulled them all already. Another base for Bobicus. Really wish he'd, just use his eco lead to get a tech lead. But he is obviously still ahead in the army supply. No, he's behind an army supply. How has he managed that? Guess it's these 7 Ravs. Yeah, I'm not sure he's got a huge amount he can do here. The only reason that he has not got a lead is because Wiseman never re-droned. So Bobicus is going to max out, but 20 of these roaches are in production, so he's sort of down 30 supply that isn't in this fight. I'm not sure he can take this, but hopefully the reinforcements and defender's advantage pay off. A lot of good bios for Wiseman. If Wiseman really has to go now, there's not really a lot of play left in this game if he doesn't make it happen here. Some really big bios still going. A lot of big trades for both sides. I'd like to see some transfuses and just to buy time for the reinforcements. It's looking good for Wiseman though. Making a lot happen with not much. Bobicus is just not dodging vials at all, and is not making ravages of his own, so we'll see. Really now amazed that Bobicus has just lost the supply lead completely. Wiseman finally using his bank and taking the supply lead briefly. Time to pull our own workers, I think, for Bobicus. Instead, we're just gonna bleed off, and these fights are just snowballing and snowballing. No idea how Wiseman kind of got away with that. So Bobicus really needs to pull these workers to his south base, try and consolidate forces here, and maintain his lead. But I'm not sure he feels like he has a lead at the moment. It's mostly just making roaches and then rallying them and losing them over and over and over again. That's going to be it. I mean, you know, I guess he kind of got, you know, outpositioned and outplayed. Quite incredible. Well played from Wiseman. You know, obviously, ideally, you would not get yourself into that spot in the first place. But, you know, playing from behind like that is definitely a bit of a talent. Some skill to it, for sure. Hopping now into Babylon. Playing in the top left, down 0-1 in this series is Bobicus. And in the bottom right, in the green, Wiseman. So, another 12 pull for Bobicus. Same opening as in game 1. And he didn't get a huge amount done with it. I don't think it really put him behind, and obviously it's a yeah, it's a decent opener, fairly safe against sort of the kind of shenanigans that we've seen Wiseman likes to do. Thanks for the raid, Sniper StarCraft League. I hope you had a good stream with the SSL games. I didn't manage to keep up, but I'm hoping Mixu won. It's a good lad. Wiseman, on the other hand, is doing the same sort of thing as he did in the first game. Now, I didn't like the way he played it. I think he could have gone for speed quite a lot quicker. And then, from there, you know, really punished Bobicus for his 12-pull opening. But I think Wiseman played it thinking it was a 13-12. So played with a really defensive Bane Nest and what have you. Let's see if Wiseman overreacts again this game. Is going to get the first few lings scouted by Wiseman. Bobicus again is playing the kind of macro opening. Those hatches are a little bit late, unfortunately. Quick Bane Nest again for Wiseman. Maybe he just really doesn't like losing to 13-12. Maybe Bobicus is a well-known 13-12er. Unsure if Wiseman, because Wiseman didn't see this hatch, so he doesn't know or not know sort of what's going on. Does look like a good fight for Bobicus, just barely. There you go, with the 2 reinforcing lanes, but fortunately Wiseman will not lose too much. Went pretty 1-for-1, ultimately. 6 for 6. Quicker speed this game than in game 1. And Wiseman is not droning at all, just straight pumping lings. This game, he didn't show the banelings at all. And he's going to manage to dodge this Overlord with these first lings. So it'll be interesting to see if he can really punish this opening for Bobicus, and how aware Bobicus is that this opening has gone down. 2 gases is interesting. I think he really needs a spine, since Wiseman is going to start morphing banelings on his side of the map. But these are going to get scouted now, so he knows. And yeah, he's seen that Wiseman is still mining gas in the main. So we are droning. Okay. Brave, but okay. Guess we don't really care about the banelings on our side of the map. Whatever. So Wiseman's speed will be coming through fairly soon. Getting a couple... Well, yeah, getting that Overlord for free. Really putting Bobicus in the red. Now he realizes that he has no units and he's getting attacked. Wiseman's going to drone out of this one. And I think, honestly, Wiseman can probably get this base. If you can get a wraparound on the queens. And then get in with the Banes. Yeah, I guess he can trade for a queen. and just drone out of it. I'm not sure I love the play. I think he probably had quite a lot more in it. Especially if he's, you know, he's mined 250 gas. If he just pulled out of gas that little bit earlier and not made any more banelings, and then macroed, he would be in a better spot. Or if he'd gone way more all in and used the gas on more banelings, I think he could have killed. But this is the game we're at. So Bobicus got away with being pretty greedy because we know he overdroned, though these drones haven't been mining because they're on hold position. I do wonder how long it's going to take him to notice. It's going to be a banelist of our own, even though we took 2 gases. Normally if it's 2 gases, he'd play roaches. Okay, now we realise the workers that were idle are being sent back to mining. And we should start to see a bit of an advantage gaining for Bobicus. Wiseman going to get another Overlord and showing his defensive baneling I don't hate at all. Meanwhile, Bobicus is in fact going for more lings. So let's see if he can kind of punish Wiseman for being a bit greedy. Wiseman a laser lording right now is a choice to be sure. Let's see if Bobicus can dodge these overlords at all with his ling flood. Interesting. Wiseman kind of smells something. Gonna get his wall up. I think that just barely glimpsed a few of the lings, so maybe he knows. More lings, walkers, more drones for Wiseman. Would be nice to see some more Banes. Let's see if Bobicus can bust. This is a lot of Banes for Bobicus. Never mind the second gas, but he's still been mining this first gas for a long, long time. Let's see now. Okay, that's a good first bust for Bobicus. He does get in with the rest of the lings. Really punishing Wiseman for greeding here. Wiseman going to pull everything into the banelings. That's got to be it. Yeah. Well played, Bobicus. Really punishing Wiseman's greed there. Definitely getting a sneaky one over on him. Which means we get into game 3. On altitude. Yeah, I'm glad we got that back. Fort Bobicus was a bit rough after losing the first game for sure. This is the biggest map in the pool, and it's not going to stop Bobicus 12 pooling on it. What an absolute chad. You'd love to see it. Wiseman is 13-12ing. Now, 12 pool is meant to beat 13-12. Really. But that doesn't mean it always does. A lot of it comes down to the control still. And, you know, you still have to play against banelings, so anything really can happen. It's obviously still really volatile. Playing up here in the top right on altitude LE is Wiseman. And in the bottom left, tying up this series with his classic 12 pool in the pink is Bobicus. So it's going to be interesting to see now who can win this and go on to face Molten. These players are obviously pretty evenly matched, so I think, you know, whoever wins this one does deserve to go and have a pop at the person who went one, you know, got a map off Figaro in Molten. Now this map, oh, what? This map is all red. This map has water textures on it, which means it's broken. This map is interesting because the overlords are naturally sent from the main to the opponent's natural, as you do in ZVZ, will miss scouting lings. Lings will naturally run this way, so the first overlord will not scout. And I wonder if we're going to see that from Wiseman, or if these lings are going to get caught. Yeah, just barely get seen by Bobicus there. Let's see if he realises what's going on. It could be 12 pool versus 12 pool, but because of the size of this map, Bobicus is going to realise really late that it is 13-12, not a straight 12 pool. See how he reacts. A spine would be ideal, a drone would not be. So he's now going to realise that he's getting very much all in. He's going to push into the main with the first lings. If he can use these for something, would be really good. See what he can do. He's going to get to start trading on these lings and force Wiseman to pull drones. Because meanwhile, Wiseman is going to start to harass this natural hatch. I'm not sure Bobicus can hold this. 4 drones going down for Wiseman is huge. This is really good for Bobicus. So long as he doesn't die to the imminent all-in. This queen is definitely dead. Should not have ever been there. He's making 2 gases. Okay. Yeah. Oops. This is the power of 1312, people. It's Imber. He says, WTF, lol. I built 2 extractors. GG. Honestly, I think this was not bad for Bobicus. Not sure what the 2 extractors are about. I think if this was an extractor and a Bane nest, it could, would still not be great. 2 spines would still be great. I think he was busy, focusing on microing the lings over here, which obviously did a really good job. Killed 4 workers, so he was up 5. But when you do that, you're losing the queen like that. You can't really expect to catch the dub here. Yeah, not sure about this one. Losing the queen like this is rough. Extractors with no units is obviously rough, and then you're playing slow lings against ling speed, and you're going to play against someone who already has a Bane nest and a bunch of gas, so it's a rough one for sure. Bad luck, Bobicus. It's the way it goes sometimes. It's the nature of ZVZ.